Welcome back to the channel, Florida. And I told you there's going to be so many states that want Bitcoin. Florida becomes the latest state to pursue a Bitcoin reserve. Folks, if you have a multitude of states, and I believe this is the way it's going to be, that have Bitcoin reserve, they're accumulating Bitcoin. You're going to have countries that are going to be accumulating Bitcoin. There's no one going to leave that easy money that is coming, in my humble opinion, not financial advice. But once Bitcoin begins to rise once again, it already did tremendously well after the bloody bear market that we went through. But I think we have a few more explosions when that begins, and those companies are pushing it. And you have states with the reserves. You may have countries. I know you're going to have countries with the reserves, but you'll see that proof as they come out with it. You have banks playing with Bitcoin at some point in the future. Once again, we already had a few banks experiment with holding Bitcoin or dealing with Bitcoin in 2025. That price is going to go intergalactic, period. Do I believe it's going to be forever? No. No, I don't believe that people have forever. And I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. I'm just sharing my opinion based on my research. No, but I don't believe that there's going to be these forever explosions. No, I don't. I think people have about 2 years before institutions take over fully and stabilize that Bitcoin price. I really believe that firmly. But let me read this little tidbit to you about what Florida is doing. Florida is the latest state pursuing a state-run Bitcoin reserve, with lawmakers introducing bills for the 2026 session to establish a Florida strategic cryptocurrency reserve managed by the chief financial officer, CFO, allowing investment in digital assets under strict rules, similar to previous stalled efforts, but aiming for 2026 start if passed. By the way, subscribe to the channel, click that like button as well. Join the team. We're going to go straight to the top. You want entertaining Bitcoin news? I'm going to bring it to you because I just have a passion for this stuff. And I feel like I see what's going on. I see the setup. But hey, subscribe, follow the journey. Potentially joining states like Texas. I would appreciate it. Like Texas and New Hampshire in crypto adoption. They're not going to be the only ones, especially given the precarious position that these state governments find themselves in the United States. They don't know if they're going to get federal funding or not based on what they do. And that's obviously based on how elections go, right? And who controls those particular states. So they can't, if they need to tap into something to have funding for things other than federal funding, then Bitcoin and crypto, like they have even some of these companies alongside Bitcoin reserves, you have the advent or rise of XRP treasuries, right? You can tap into these crypto that are going to be, in my humble opinion, artificially boosted. And when I say the value is going to be real, but artificial, I mean, when those companies who are getting in and taking over choose to press the button, when it comes to mainstream media, the mainstream media will give a push, the likes of which you've never seen. They will pump crypto like no one could ever pump crypto. And I say that because a lot of those companies that are getting involved with crypto, they have ties to the mainstream media. And so when they give the word, the green light, that price will go up. States know that because they're tied to a lot of these companies. They sit in these meetings with them. They're getting lobbied by them. Some of them even have invested in those particular asset managers or companies. So they're familiar with this. They're looking to ride that price up. Everyone wants a piece. And I mean, not everyone, especially, I don't mean that when it comes to retail, but I'm talking about institutions, businesses that are large enough to be worth their salt, for lack of a better word. All of them, they know this. That's why they're not playing any games. They're running fast towards their accumulation of Bitcoin. It's not a joke. Take a look at the news. Every week we have something major happening with these major entities, states, institutions, whoever, positioning themselves to max out whatever's going to happen with a Bitcoin, which seems to be leaning heavily towards something massively positive is about to occur for Bitcoin. I mean, that's my humble opinion. That's what I'm seeing here. And that's why you have this. But let's continue on here. So similar to previous stated efforts, to previous stalled efforts, but aiming for a 2026 start if passed. Bill details: House Bill 1039, HB 1039, and companion Senate bills, SB 1038, SB 1040, were introduced in late 2025, early 2026. So there you have it. You want to look it up, you can. And a lot of people are using AI, even though I don't trust AI for research. It will lie to you confidently. That's why I don't trust AI when it comes to research. I'm okay for now with a good Google search. In the future, if they improve AI so it doesn't lie to you and feed you false information, then I would change my mind and say, okay, AI is good for research, but nonetheless, people use it anyway. So if you want to run these bills, HB 1039, SB 1038, SB 1040 into your AI, you could do that and it might pull it up for you. All right. I like to be clear about everything. There's no misunderstanding me or my thinking. All right. The chief financial officer, CFO, would manage the fund, potentially through a special fund outside the state treasury. Really? I'll look into that a little further on my downtime. That's a little bit questionable. Let's continue on here. A $500 billion market cap threshold would currently limit investments primarily to Bitcoin. Funding sources could include legal recoveries and rewards, not pension funds. Goal to provide state exposure to digital assets as a hedge, similar to, quote, digital gold, with prudent investor status. There we go. The bills must pass committee hearings and floor votes during the 2026 legislative season, with a potential effective date of July 1st, 2026. Now we have something to add to our calendar so we can be on the lookout for this activity. Definitely want to keep up and stay abreast and privy. I like to use both those words, abreast and privy of what is going on with Bitcoin if you are a Bitcoin enthusiast. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.